Good morning, everyone. I'd like to dedicate this morning's learning in memory of my mother, Mrs. Shalamis Rabinowitz. Shalamis Masrak Eliezer. Now, maybe I should have announced this earlier, but excuse me. Today will be the last Mishna Bikurim, and it'll actually be the last Mishna of Seder Zeroyim, of the first section of Mishna. Mishna has 6 sections. The first section is Seder Zeroyim, the order of Zeroyim, which dealt with all the agricultural laws of the land of Israel. We will be concluding that today. And that's a very big simcha. Mazel tov to all of us who've been participating. And tomorrow, Meretz Hashem, we will begin Seder Moed, the order of Moed, which deals with the Yom Tovim, the holidays, and we'll be beginning Shabbos and the holidays. And we'll be beginning with Masechta Shabbos, Rekted Shabbos, and Meretz Hashem tomorrow morning. Also, the things will look a little bit different tomorrow morning because the morning Mishnah class will resume at the shul. But we will continue doing the live stream from shul. But again, so the time is going to be a little bit different. We'll have to try to, notify you about that. The time will be different. It will be earlier because we usually do it shortly after davening is over. But again, it will be a live stream and it will be recorded. And so that's an update on how things will be. So we are in Mishnah Bikurim. We are in Mishnah Hay. This is chapter 4, Mishnah 5. We've been discussing the androgynous, the androgen. And now the discussion is, we said that the androgynous is not like a man or a woman in regard to certain things. And the Mishnah wants to know, Ketzad, how is that? What are we talking about? So the first thing is, Ein chayavan al tumasai. One is not liable for being impure. That means if a person is impure, they're tamei, they've entered the Beis HaMikdash, they've eaten from a sacrifice, they have to bring a special sacrifice to atone for that. Now, when it comes to the androgynous, being that it is not clear whether the androgynous is a man or a woman, it's not definitive that he's a man or a woman, he is excluded from this law. That if he were to become impure and enter the Beis HaMikdash or eat from a sacrifice, the androgynous would not be liable to bring any kind of sacrifice because the androgynous, based on verses of the Torah, is excluded from this law. Would it have been a man or a woman? They'd be liable. But the androgynous, whose status is not definitive, that the androgynous status is excluded from this law. Now, it's important to know that, right, this case of the androgynous, it's very important to clarify this. This case of the androgynous, how did it become tamei? How did the androgynous become tamei? And we want to make the androgynous tamei in a way that, both whether the androgynous is a man or a woman, the androgynous would be tamei. So I guess there could have been other cases also, but based on the case we had, based on what we said before, that if an androgynous has a white discharge, then like a man, the androgynous is a zav. If the androgynous has a blood discharge, then the androgynous is like a woman and nida. Our case is talking about that even if, let's say, the androgynous had both. So whether the androgynous is a man or a woman, no question, the androgynous is tamei. Nonetheless, being that we're dealing with androgynous, where again, the androgynous physically doesn't have a definition as to what the androgynous is, the androgynous is excluded from this law. It's based on verses in the Torah that this law, that if you're tamei, you enter the Beis HaMikdash, you have to bring a special sacrifice for that, only applies to one who is a definitive man or a definitive woman. The next case of the Mishnah, ve'ein sarfan al tumasai, one does not burn truma because of truma coming from the androgynous. So, for instance, if an androgynous who is tamei touches truma, now if a man or a woman who are tamei come into contact with truma and they make the truma now impure, what do you do with that truma? You have to burn it. But if truma is not tamei, you're not allowed to burn it. So if we have a suffix, we have a doubt about the truma, whether it's tamei or not, can't burn it. And just let it rot. So the Mishnah's case now, so the whole point, the heading of the Mishnah was, in what ways is the androgynous not like a man or a woman? So in the first case, the androgynous not like a man or a woman, when the androgynous was tummy and went to the Beis Hamikdash, because a man or a woman would have to bring the special sacrifice, and the androgynous doesn't. So that was even if there's no question whether the androgynous is a man or a woman, that he's tummy, that the androgynous is tummy. But now the case is like this. Now the case is, as we've just said, if truma is only doubtfully tummy, you can't burn it. So in this case, we're trying to make a case where the androgynous is tummy. Nonetheless, you will not burn the truma that the androgynous come into contact with, unlike a man or a woman who, if they are tummy, and they come into contact with the truma, you would burn it. Here the case is, say the commentaries, that it's a doubt, meaning the androgynous had one or the other. The androgynous had the white emission or the red emission or the blood emission, which now makes the androgynous suffix tummy, because we don't know if the androgynous is a man or a woman, and depending on which emission it is, what if he's one of them, he's not going to become tummy. But we have to treat the androgynous suffix tummy. It's a suffix as if he's tummy. And therefore, we have to treat the truma that the androgynous come into contact with as suffix tummy. There's a question whether it's tummy. But if it's a question whether it's tummy, you're not going to burn it. That's what it means, vein sarf and al tumase. We do not burn the truma for the androgynous is making it tummy, because we're talking about now, differently than the first case, now we're talking about that the androgynous had either the blood emission or the white emission. The androgynous is tamei misafek. He is in doubt. He is tamei out of doubt, and therefore, if that's all he is, coming into contact with the truma, we'll also put the truma in a doubtful state of tuma, and you can't burn it. Next, a androgynous does not have erechin. Erechin is where the Torah says if a person uses the word erech, which literally means value. And a person says, Eirach, this and this person, I have to take upon myself the value of a certain person. So that value of the person now is a vow to pay to the Beis Hamikdash. When you use the word Erechin, the Torah gives specific values to a person per age and per gender. So now we're dealing with it. So now if a person says about an androgynous, that the androgynous is Eirach alai, that person's value is upon me, so then erech doesn't apply. Loy kanash, loy kanashim, not like men or women. On a man or a woman, if you say they're erech, you have to pay. But if you say they're erech but androgynous, you don't have to pay, because again, the law of erechin, we know from the wording of the Torah that the law of erechin only applies to someone who is definitively a man or a woman, and does not apply to an androgynous, who there is a question as to what androgynous is. Or the way we can say it is that again, where the androgynous, as we said, has both physical traits of a man or a woman, and therefore, this is physically not clear what he is, and that person is excluded from erechin. Next, nor can the androgynous be sold as a Jewish servant, unlike men or women. Now, the Torah has a law called Eved Ivri, the Jewish servant, in which, let's say, a person out of poverty sells himself to someone so that he can support his family. Or let's say, and this can happen that's by a man. A woman would be a maidservant if she was sold by her father when she was a minor. That's the way a woman becomes a Jewish maidservant. If she's poverty-stricken, she still cannot sell herself as a Jewish maidservant. Another way that a man is sold as a Jewish servant is if he steals, and the Beis Din, and he has nothing to pay back with, that the Beis Din will now sell him to pay back the one to use the money that he was sold for to pay back the person who he stole from. So these are the ways by which a Jew can become a servant to another Jew. Now, this law of being a servant by a man and by a woman are very different. By a man, only if he is an adult could he sell himself or be sold by Beis Din? Not if he's a minor. By whom it's the other way around. An adult woman has no way to be sold as a Jewish maidservant. The only way she can be sold as a Jewish maidservant is if her father does so before she becomes 12. When she's under the age of 12, when she's still what we call a katana, a minor, then the father can sell her. So now the Mishnah says, when dealing with an androgynous, the androgynous can never be a Jewish servant, unlike a man or a Jewish man or Jewish woman. Why? Because if we don't know what he is, then how can we sell him? If the androgynous is a man, then okay, he can be sold if he's an adult. But if androgynous is a woman, then androgynous can't be sold. And if it's a minor, then as a woman, the androgynous can be sold, but as a male, he can't because he's a minor. And therefore, there is no way to sell an androgynous or for an androgynous to be sold as an Eved Ivri, as a Jewish servant. The Im'ama Hareini Nazar, She'ein Ze Ish V'Isha, Harei Nazar. Let's say somebody sees an androgynous and says, I am a Nazir if this person is either not a man or not a woman. Okay? I am a Nazir if She'ein Ze Ish, that this person is not a man or not a woman. That's what he says. Okay, so now Harei Nazir. He will be a Nazir because the wording is not a man or not a woman, and that's true about a Nazir. He's either, I'm sorry about the androgynous. The androgynous is either not a man or not a woman. It's one or the other. And therefore the Naziris takes place. If you did that, on a man or a woman, if you said, I'm a Nazir, if this person is not a man and it's a man, then you're not going to be a Nazir. But you can't use that word, not a man, but you use that word, not a man, on a Nazir, on a androgynous, then the vow would take place because, at least at a doubt, because of the fact that perhaps the androgynous is not a man. Okay. So now, until now, the discussion about the androgynous has been a doubt. Is androgynous a man or a woman? Androgynous is one or the other. Rabbi Yossi says, androgynous bria b'fnei atzma. An androgynous is its own creation. An androgynous is a third type. And the Chachamim did not come to the conclusion as to whether the androgynous is a man or a woman. Now, what that means is like this. But it means, according to Rabbi Yossi, when he starts up saying the androgynous is a creature by itself, is a creation by itself, really means to say that the question about the androgynous is really triple. Maybe man, maybe woman, maybe neither. Maybe a type on its own. And therefore, now what's the difference if you now include this third possibility? So the commentaries explain the practical difference between the two opinions is, if someone were to say, I am a Nazir if this person, meaning the androgynous, is neither a man nor a woman. That's what the person says. When that person makes the vow for Naziris, and the condition is based on the androgynous in front of him, but he says that I'm a Nazir if this person is neither a man nor a woman, then according to the opinion until now that it's either a man or a woman, it's not neither. He's not neither. So the Naziris wouldn't take place at all. However, according to Rabbi Yossi, that the androgynous may be neither a man nor a woman, then therefore what this person said will take effect, at least at a doubt, because it could be that what he said, the condition is met, because it is perhaps an androgynous is neither a man nor a woman. And then Rabbi Yossi concludes, Aval tumtum einokein. A tumtum is a person who has one or the other productive organ of a male or a female, but there's this membrane that has grown over the area and we can't see what it is. So the androgynous has both physical features. The tumtum only has one. There's no question. The tumtum only has one. I mean, we know it's only one. It's just that there's a membrane covering it, doesn't allow us to see what it is. And therefore, aval tumtum einokein. Rabbi says the tumtum is not that way. Ala safek ish safek isha. Tumtum is a doubt. Maybe it's a man, maybe it's a woman. The androgynous maybe is neither. But a tumtum is either a man or a woman. Okay, so Mazel Tov, we have completed Bikurim. We have completed the order of Zeroyim. Meretz Hashem, we start Shabbos tomorrow. And we should merit together to learn many, many more, to continue to learn Mishnayos together, finish more Siddharim, more parts of the Mishnah, and Meretz Hashem, at some point of time, complete it together and make another Siyam Hashas, another complete Siyam on the completion of the Mishnayos. Have a wonderful day.